Bruce always said he would work, he just would have an attitude.
I would work somewhere else
I call it Kelly
for me
Girl from the office.
and for him. And this, some people, when you do that, they think, you know, he's everywhere, so you just, okay. Anyway, let's move on. So, here's the thought to keep in mind today. What is or has God asked you to sacrifice for him? Have you ever thought of that? You know, are there things in your life, like when you became a Christian, I became a Christian as an adult, I was 36 years old, okay? So at that time in my life, for me, he asked me to sacrifice some things, okay? I'm not saying everybody has the same things that they need to sacrifice. There are certain people you used to hang around with maybe when you were, if you were saved as an adult or a teenager or something like that, that you just found out, I can't be around them. Not and believe what I believe and serve as I need to serve. Well, but Jesus was among the sinners. Yeah, but be careful. You can get burned if you get too close. Jesus is different than you. Okay? So just think about what is or has God asked you to sacrifice for him. So be in Abraham's mindset today as we go through this. This is a difficult thing. So here we are in the story. How many years ago did God make the initial promise? Okay, so Abraham's 9,900 years old now, okay, in the story today. How old was he when God gave him the promise?
75.
75. Okay. So he's been waiting a while, okay? I've been waiting less than a year for some things that I've been praying about, okay? Close to a year, but almost, it's less than a year right now. I can't imagine. Well, I hope he's not asking me to wait 25. Right? Oh, really? I can't do that at 25 more, right? At least that's in my mindset. Think of Abraham, okay? Abraham tried to help God a couple of times, didn't he? God gave him the promise, and yet he got tired of waiting. Abraham is not perfect. He's a lot like us, folks, okay? So he has, today he displays exceptional trust in obedience today. Exceptional faith, exceptional obedience today. When God tells him to do something, okay, he moves quickly. So let's project ourselves there in the story, and let's think about also when you're in Abraham's mindset. Think right now, and when I say Abraham's mindset, I want you to be in your mindset in Abraham's position. Do you understand what I mean? Think like you think right now, and how you're feeling, and your job situation, and your life situation, and everything like that. And think about if God came to you and he said, take your son Isaac, your only son, whom you love, right? Mm-hmm. And I want you to take him, and I want you to sacrifice him to me as a burnt offering. Okay, you're in your mindset, but you're Abraham, and he's asking you to do that. That's where I want you to be today as we go through this story, because I can't even imagine what that was like for him. Okay, Greg. This is going to take some major league obedience. I want you to take Russell, your son, one of two, whom you love, and I want you to sacrifice him to me as a burnt offering. That becomes a little more real when it jumps off that page to me. Could I have that kind of faith and obedience? Now, he's got God's promise, as we all do. We have God's promises, right? Sometimes those promises are if-thens.
Right.
Remember we talked about that? If you will do this, then I will do this. I'm going to make you into a great nation. As many as the stars are in the sky and the grains of sand on the beach, I'm going to make you into a great nation. So take that son, your one and only son, the son of the promise, and sacrifice him to me. Okay, so he's got God's promise, doesn't he? He's got God's promise. How much does he believe it? You've got God's promise. How much do you believe it? What is your level of faith in response, obedience? Where are you? Are you, what was Abraham a 100%er? No, he's not. He's already failed a few times, right? He said Sarah was his sister, right? Because she was a hot 90-year-old. I don't know. Must have been different then. She evidently was beautiful, at the time. So anyway, how do you respond when something is, or even might be, taken away from you? How do you respond to that? You know it might be taken away from you. How are you responding to that?
Usually grab the reins tighter.
Yeah, my grip tightens, I think, too. There are a couple of scriptures, and if somebody wants to flip there, somebody go to James 1:17, and somebody go to Proverbs 16:4. Bible drill. When you get there, raise your hand. Well, let's do James 1:17 first. And y'all's few seconds are over, you lose.
Proverbs 16:4.
Proverbs 16:4, James 1:17.
Have James
You got it? Will you read that, please?
Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows.
Okay, that's a good one. We all like that one, don't we? That's a good one. Every good and perfect gift comes from the Father above, right? Every good and perfect gift. We like that. We like good and perfect gifts, right? God, just pour those out on us. Would you help us win that lottery? Every good and perfect gift. Boy, if y'all, well, I don't care. What are we going to say? Don't tell Adam I'm telling you to go along. It doesn't matter. He knows me by now. So anyway, every good and perfect gift. We like that one, don't we? Okay, now, if somebody's at the other one, you got it too? Okay.
The Lord works out everything for his own ends, even the wicked for a day of disaster.
I don't know if I'm too big on that one, right? Because what does that really mean? I mean, if you listen, read it one more time.
The Lord works out everything for his own ends, even the wicked for a day of disaster.
So God works through all things, good and perfect gifts, disasters, whatever it is, for his own purpose. Okay? Now, how much trust does that take? And what kind of a different focus does that take? Different than our own. Okay? You got to have godly focus. You got to see through his eyes. And you got to remember that we need to have an eternal focus. Okay? Abraham has to have an eternal focus here when God says, I want you to sacrifice your son. Okay? He's got to think differently than he thinks. Doesn't he? If God works through disasters, and he says even through his blessing, even through disasters, then does that mean that we're going to go through disasters? Yeah, to us, we are, and yeah, I hate to tell you this and say this out loud, but life is not always just a bowl of cherries. It's not that, is it? We all know that by now, don't we? That more often than not, like we said last week, you're either coming out of one, going into one, or about to go into one, or in the middle of one, right? It's always something. Now, is that a downer attitude? A little bit. But it's true. Now, I'm not saying you're always in one. I didn't say that. But we're promised trouble here, aren't we? In this world, you will have trouble. He didn't say might. He didn't say, hey, Greg, you're a pretty good guy. Just serve me. Try not to think bad thoughts. And I'll rescue you from trouble. Didn't say that. I'll keep you from having trouble. He will rescue me from it. But he won't keep me from having it. I'm going to have it. Why? Because he has a good purpose. Okay? Hmm?
What makes us depend?
Yeah. It's like that saying that people like to say, God will never give you more than you can handle. And that's a lie.
Right.
Yes, he will. Because he wants you to rely on him when you can't handle it. Right? So we often get things thrown at us that are difficult, that we can't handle alone. So we're going to see Abraham's obedience in the face of loss. And again, remember that this loss is not because Satan is sifting you. Okay? This loss is going to come at God's command. Right? Wow, God tells it. I want you to sacrifice. Okay? So it takes some pretty exceptional faith in obedience here. So here he is. Now, different than today, so I guess we have to picture, I don't know how we want to picture Abraham. You know, if you're Abraham, we don't have anybody in here that looks old enough. So he's 100. He's 100 years old, okay? It's probably not the same as a 100-year-old now. This guy can take a 35-mile hike. He's different than most 100-year-olds. Okay, 3 days, 35 miles. He's a pretty exceptional guy. So let's think about that. But here he is. He first got that promise spoken to him 25 years ago. Okay? Several years later, God came into Abraham again. This time the message was different. He issued a command to submit. We better write that word. These words. We don't like these words. Submit and sacrifice. The 3 S's. And that's different now. Don't think of the 3 S's in any other way. I just put that word in your head. I'm sorry. Submit, sacrifice. Y'all are all wondering, what's he talking about? Okay. Submit, sacrifice, surrender. You like any of those words? No. Hold the line. Never give up. Right? Never surrender. This is different. This is a different kind of surrender. This takes strength. This takes obedience. This takes trust. Man, major league trust. So, okay, we're in Genesis 22. Somebody read 1 through 6 for me.
Now it came about after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, Here I am. He said, Take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son. And he split wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey, and I and the lad will go over there, and we will worship and return to you. Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took in his hand the fire and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together.
Okay, so you're Abraham, or Abrahametta if you're a lady. And this is what God tells you. Today, right now, God came to you this morning before you rose out of bed, and this is what he said to you. What do you do? Oh, Abraham did not delay obedience. Have you ever delayed obedience? God, are you sure? You really want me to do that? Right? Do I sound crazy when I talk like that? I mean, when I say God talks to us, I don't think that's crazy. I know he does. I know that there are often times in my head where God will say to me, you should go talk to that person. You help them out. You can see that they need some kind of help. Just